Okay, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about decimals and rounding and adding and subtracting and multiplying and dividing with decimals. So, adding and subtracting. So, I've got 4 examples of this. The key to this is to align your decimals together. So, if you're asked to work this by hand and not use a calculator, all you do is line them up by the decimals. So take a look what I did on number 1. So at any part of this video, remember you can always pause it and come back to it and listen to it as many times as you need. So if I add all these up, 2 plus 4, 6 plus 7 is a 3. I carry the 1. 1 plus 4 is 5 plus 8 is 13. 13 plus 3 is 16. So my answer to the first one is 16.3. Notice I still have the 1 decimal. Okay, take a look at, this is the one I like demonstrating because if I do 14.4 and I do 15.25 and I add them, well, the 15.25 has more numbers. Well, you can always put a 0 to take a place. So now we can add these up. And that is 65, and that's 29. So 29.65. Now just to save some space and stuff, when you're subtracting, subtract 15.3 from that. And I've got a 4. I don't have to carry anything. 8 subtract 5 is 3. And then a 2. That's my answer, 23.4. Now, finally, on the last example, I've got 68.4, and I've also got 42.125. So what I can do is add 2 more spots to that. Then if I subtract 0, so I carry the 1, 5, that 2, or the 0 becomes a 9 now. So that's a 7. 4 subtract 1 is 3. 8 subtract 2 is 6. 6 subtract 4 is 2. 26 point. Oh. On this one, I made a mistake. I overlooked it. That 4 actually turns into a 3, so that 3 should be actually a 2. So once on this, I always go back and see and double check things to make sure I did everything correctly. Okay, now the next thing we can do is multiply and divide. Well, they have 2 separate rules. So I'm going to go into multiply first, and I've written down a rule in orange. To multiply means you count the total number of decimals. So what I mean by this is, how many decimal spots does the first one have? Well, it's got that point and then 8. There's 1 decimal. 0.78, that's 2 decimal. So if I count these up, that means my answer, I need 3 decimals for my answer. So if we put this in our calculators, you should get 2301 point, let me look, 784. My second one, I have 1, but then I also have 3, so my answer, I'm going to have 4. So if I multiply these together, you should get 68.1904. Next, division. Division, you take the most decimals. So instead of counting them, you would take the one with the most decimals. So if I look at the first one, I've got 5.9 after the decimal. That means 2. 8.2, I have 1. So that means my answer I'm going to have it's the greatest one. It's 2. So when I divide this, I should get 0.44. That's my decimal. I've got 2 decimal spots. Okay, now rounding. I'm going to use this as a table to show you what each one of these would look like. Okay? So as you're looking at this and writing this down, I'm going to go ahead and write every one of these numbers. I'm going to fill in this blanks. Okay, and I'm going to show you what you need from this. So I'm going to do the first example. Like at any time, you can always pause it and come back to it as well. Okay, so what is the 100th spot? Well, the 100th spot is this one right here. So what you have to do is you have to look to the number right of it. That 6. Does that 6 make that 1 stay the same or go up? Well, it makes it go up. So you just need 2, 0, 0. You don't have to put any decimals with zeros after that. We do not require you to do that. The next thing is the 10 spot. Well, that 6 is in the 10 spot. So what does that 6 do? Stay the same or go up? Well, you have to look at the number next to it, which is an 8. The 8 would make that 1, 7. The 8 turns into a 0, and that's all you need. The 1 spot, or what we call the unit spot, is the 8 position. Does that 8 go up or stay the same? Well, you have to look at the 1 right behind it, and it causes it to stay the same. The 1/10 or the 0.01 position is that 1. I look at that 2. So you still have to put 168 point what? 0.1. And finally, the 100th, which is at 2, the 168 stays the same. And then you say 1, that 2 goes up to a 3 because of the 8. Okay, next I'm going to copy down 4.5612 on each one. Do the same thing. In this case, it does not have a 100 position. So you can put a 0 there. Does it have a 10 position? No. But now it has the unit position. What does that 4 turn into? Does it stay the same or go to a 5? Well, you look at that 5, it turns into a 5. Look at the 1/10, that is my 5. So what does that 5 do? It goes up to a 6 because of the 6 behind it. And finally, the 100th position, which is at 6, it's 4.5. That 6 does stay the same. So I think you all get the picture. So now I'm looking at the 100. What is the 100 in the next one? It is the 1 right here. What does that 1 do? Well, that 4 does not do anything to it. So you would say 28,000. So it's 28,000, and that 1 stayed the same. So 1, 0, 0, that's all we're looking for. The 10 position, I'm looking at that 4. What does that 4 do? It turns into a 5. So 28150. What about that 1 position, that 9? When you look at that 1, it does not do anything. So 149. The 1/10 is the 1 that would actually go up to a 2. So it's 28 149.2. And finally, that 8 would be 0.1. That 8 would turn into a 9. So for those that are in my Math 116 class, you want to do homework number 3 on WebAssign. Okay, thank you for listening.